All right. So my job here today is to speak to you about the road less traveled, a career in the creative economy. But first, I wanted to give a round of applause to the speakers that went before me. Carlton, Erica, and Nicole did a wonderful job. Carlton, I saw the house that you showed, and I wonder where you got the photo of my house because it looked similar, but we know we all steal images over the internet, right? So I might reach out to you about copyright infringement. But I think the first thing I want to speak about really is just that. I'll touch on it real quick. I mean, your background or your past doesn't really determine your future. And I think this symposium is the right theme around go higher. Because when I hear about Carlton's story, I share a similar story growing up in Kentire and Papine, Nicole's husband, Sasko. We grew up the same place. And, you know, growing up, there's a lot of distractions and so forth, and you have to keep focused. And no matter where you go, there's always distraction, whether positive or some that you feel that is good for you, and some negative. You have to always stay focused. But I want to talk to you a little bit about entrepreneurship. Now, my journey started as far back as Jamaica College. I didn't see any blue shirts in the audience. I won't flap myself tonight, but Dr. Black, you went to JC, right? Yes? So we are the one round of applause. Big him up. So my entrepreneurship journey started as far back as Jamaica College, where I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. And, I was lucky to, remain focused in school because I've been growing up in the inner city community. It was more difficult for me because I grew up with sickle cell disease. So couldn't join the Manning Cup team, couldn't do track and field, couldn't do any of that. I have to focus on my education. And then if you have sickle cell, of course, you can't run from police because you'll get sick, so I have to stay out of badness, right? So, my focus started wanting to be an entrepreneur. So I started working on that from as far back as Jamaica College. And it infiltrated everything I wanted to do as a next step. So wanting to attend college, I know that, okay, I have to be doing some business program. And even though I had an interest in the creative field, at the time we were told that art doesn't make any money. So for me, I did a degree in banking and finance at UA. So in attending UA I graduated top of the class from JC and everything. That was my plan. I asked them, what is it to be valedictorian? And they said, well, you have to graduate with the highest average in the graduating class. So for me, that was my focus. I graduated with the highest average, but they didn't make me valedictorian because they said I was too rebellious. I need to write them about that. But I graduated top of the class and then moved to UA, and I've been focused a lot on being an entrepreneur. And I wanted to start a media company. So at the time I was focused on doing my business plan. I was so deep into wanting to be an entrepreneur that I flunked college, right? After second year, I stopped going to classes. Don't follow me on that, please. But I did the minimum level just to graduate. And then I started my business, and my business was a media company, eZines Limited, which is now eMedia Interactive Group. And it was based on creativity. I wanted to, produce my own magazine and so forth, and I wanted the funding. So I'm going to talk about 3 steps in tapping into the creative industry. Now, let me see the answer those who understand what the creative industry is. Nobody? Videography, filmmaking, advertising, photography, digital marketing, graphic design, all of these things that we see now around us, especially on Instagram and Facebook and so forth. That's really the creative economy, right? So my company or my companies exist in the creative field. And the 3 things I'm going to leave you with in terms of my presentation. The first one is, if you want to exist in the creative field, you have to first understand what it's about. So do some research and understand what it takes to start a career in the creative field, what investment you need to make, where you need to go and study, and so forth, right? The creative economy now is one of the fastest growing economies in the world today. When we look at the growth of Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, HBO, now all of those platforms. We've seen where Luke Cage the other day was a film from Marvel. Season 2 was based entirely on Jamaica, right? Our talent and our stories are some of the most interesting around the world. And as a result, we have to really do some research to find out more about that. So that's one of the first steps. Number two, it's one of the fields that you can become an entrepreneur quickly in. What I mean by that is, today if you want to get up and you want to start a loan company, you need people to give you money so that you can lend it to other people, right? If you want to start a bank, there's many regulations around to start a bank. If you want to start a wholesale, you have to buy stock to put in the wholesale to sell. But the creative economy is one that the barriers to entry are lower than a lot of the other industries. And really what you need is your skill set. So you learn some photography, and you can do that at our school, I Create. You learn videography, you learn all of these things, and then you can now put that into motion. So one of the things I would recommend to you today, while you're seeking out opportunities for your career, is look into entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship in the creative field it will help tremendously with the growth of our country in creating more entrepreneurs. So that's number two. Number three, and this is related to anything that you want to be in life, is to be stubborn. And what do I mean by that? All of us have visions and hopes of ourselves, right? We want to be a doctor, we want to be a lawyer, we want to be an entrepreneur, we want to be an athlete. But one of the things is that when you start to go around and you start to ask people, everybody have an opinion on what you can do and what you cannot do. And one of the most important things is to be stubborn about what you want to do. Because when you look at some of the most successful people in the world, their success is built on being stubborn. When you look at a company like Apple, right? A lot of the things that they introduced that we are using today, the smartphone and so forth, they were told it wouldn't work. The iPad was developed before the iPhone. A lot of people told them that it wouldn't work. Look at Amazon today. A lot of people told Jeff Bezos Amazon was rubbish. It wouldn't work. It's one of the most valuable companies in the world. We all know Facebook. We're using the platform today. 6 years ago, you were told that Facebook was a phase. It would phase out, and people would stop using it. Everybody on Facebook, right? No? You're on Instagram, though. Facebook owns Instagram. So those are some of the things that I'm talking about. You have to be very stubborn about what you want to be. So what does that mean for me? And I'll use my story a little to, give some encouragement around reaching where you want to go. So I mentioned my background, growing up in Kentai Papine, right? Around you, that's the inner city. Around you, you'll find a lot of negative influence. And it's so easy to skip school, jump on the sidewalk, burn some weed, pick up badness, and all of that, right? In fact, you're more accepted and more popular if you do those things. During my time at Kentai, the year before I moved out, individuals were dying daily. I had friends who mistakenly have a gun in their shop, and police find it, and we know what happened next, right? You see that around you, what do? Turn the other way, right? The next thing now is that you move out of the ghetto. I moved out of the ghetto, and I lived in Portmore for a while, and you go to college, you're through college, and you see everybody doing the various things, and your parents invest in you to study something specific, but then you start to get a lot of girls, so of course you is about 85% females and 15% males, so you can imagine the distraction there. What you tend to do, you start to party more, you start to drink more, you start to want to be more popular. Right? You have to be stubborn about what you want to be. And then I moved out of and I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And my parents, right, which are my biggest investors, but initially they were a little hesitant. And my father said to me, well, I'm sending you to school to get a degree, to get a job. So you're on your own. I mean, he loved me, but to him, a college degree means afterwards you go and get a job. I was stubborn about what I wanted to be. So much so that for a year, my father and I didn't talk because of the decision I made. And then I started working on my business plan and I wanted to go to people to get investment. The first 10 people I spoke to told me no. In fact, I have 2 minutes. In fact, a few of them tell me that the idea is rubbish. It wouldn't work. And then the 11th person invested. And then the 12th person was Sagicor that invested 350,000 US at the time, $30 million in the business. What was I? Stubborn about what I wanted to do. Now, those are some of the key things. I don't have a lot of time, but those are some of the key things that I want to speak to you about today. About a career in the creative field, but also your own personal objective of going higher. And it doesn't matter about your background, your upbringing, but really your focus of wanting to do good. So I'll leave you with that this afternoon because I know it's lunchtime and we're way over the schedule and everybody hungry, right? But I want to thank you for having me, and I hope the presentation was useful. Thank you very much.
All right, we thank Mr. Tyrone Wilson. Yes.
I never made it.